So before we proceed, I'll just allow my, my host, my real host, Matthew Kyaligonza, to present to us on what's happening in the oil fields in regard to CNOOC and what we see for the future. Matthew.
Thank you very much, Tony, for that kind introduction. My name is Matthew Kyaligonza. I'm the National Content Manager, CNOOC. I'm going to tell you about CNOOC. CNOOC is the operator of the Kingfisher Field and LA2 South oil field, which is on the southern end of the Albertine Graben. We are in a joint venture partnership with Total Energies and CNOOC, and we are an international oil and gas company. And I'm going to take us through opportunities for SMEs, but with a particular focus on the logistics service providers. And this was informed by a couple of questions we received from the members of the Chamber of Mines. Most of the questions we received were in line with the logistics requirements. So we thought it wise to actually delve more as CNOOC in this Q3 event on the opportunities in the logistics sector. And allow me also to add my voice to Tony's to welcome the different panelists, speakers, and that have graced this event. And I'm sure that both the members of the Chamber of Mines and the other Ugandans are going to benefit from this engagement. CNOOC Uganda has unbundled its packages, its procurement packages, into 4 major procurement packages, which we call the EPC packages. And these mainly include, number 1, PC1, which involves the pre-drilling well pads and civil works and construction of the access and infield roads. We have also EPC2, and that PC1, we are glad we have the best evaluated bidder, or the person that is going to do that job, which is Excel Construction, that is here with us and will share with us later. There is also EPC2, which is the safety check station, permanent camp and supply base. We are calling this the infrastructure works. These are the works that are going to set the stage where we shall have a camp and supply base where the materials will be delivered to. This EPC contract is also at the bid evaluation, at the bid BER stage with PAU. PAU is going to recommend everything in the procurement has been finished. Then thirdly, and second last major package is the EPC3, which is the CPF, the temporary camp, inflow lines, and lake water intake pump station, which we are calling the production facilities. This is where the crude oil will be processed and actually later transported in EPC4, which is the Kingfisher feeder line, which is approximately 50 kilometers pipeline from Buhuka to Kabale, where the export and the refinery are going to be located. There are also a couple of other services that will include integrated drilling works, resettlement house constructions, which will be talked about by Mr. Cato, and a couple of other contracts that actually the Ugandans will benefit by being able to take part in it. So secondly, allow me now to delve into the details for the logistics sector about the estimated workloads and what the requirement is going to look like to help you have an idea of exactly what we are talking about when we talk about logistics in reference to the Kingfisher oil field. We are going to need materials and equipment globally sourced to a tune of 16,800 tons of globally sourced materials and equipment. We shall need regionally and nationally sourced materials and equipment to the tune of 1,609,000 tons. And these give you an imagination of what will be required. The rig alone, the rig equipment and well consumables globally will take about 18,750 tons. That is globally, and another 2,000 tons regionally or nationally sourced. So globally, we are looking at a total of 35,550 tons, and regionally at around 1,611,000 tons, which together will bring will make a total of about 1.646 million tons of both materials and equipment and the rig that shall be transported. So that is enormous work. That is enormous work. And mind you, that is the Kingfisher field alone. There is the Tilenga oil field by our joint venture partners Total that will be competing for the same services. So this requirement alone will require us to have about, for the Kingfisher field alone, about 75 trucks on the road on a daily basis. Per day, 75 trucks on the road, and this is on the assumption that each truck carries about 20 metric tons per load. So, and this information was put together during our FEED, the front-end engineering design, where the estimates were made. So you can see the amount, those figures, those estimated figures I've given you can help you actually put into perspective what kind of work is awaiting the logistics fraternity and our Ugandan. And logistics is one of the reserved services by the national content regulations for Ugandans. So as members of the Chamber of Mines and the other Ugandans out there, or other contractors or logisticians out there, you need to have a keen interest in this. So as logistics companies, what do you need to put in place to partake of these opportunities? So allow me to share with you the logistics execution planning requirements that we have put together as CNOOCQ. And one, you need to work on having excellent global logistics planning and forecasting. This will help you to actually be able to partake of this enormous, gigantic work that awaits you. You need to have multimodal transport systems where you use both the water, the roads, and air, depending on the need. If we want cargo, for example, very urgently at Kingfisher, you might have to bring it by air. And I'm glad the airport is about 65–70% complete, and some of this cargo will come by air, but our main mode of transport, of course, will be the road. That will be from Mombasa to Kampala, Hoima, down to Buka. Then we also need to think about the heavy lifting, because most of these equipment need heavy lifting and transportation of out-of-gauge cargo. We need also to have a proper customs and documentation requirements put in place to ensure that the paperwork to clear all these at the borders with the Uganda Revenue Authority and other authorities is right. Then secondly, you need to have IT systems in place that enable access of the logistics service provider to track and trace this cargo as it moves, as this is a requirement for the oil and gas. You'll need to have to establish EDI links between the logistics service provider and the client's ERP system, that is CNOOCQ. You'll have also to obtain details for system integration. You'll need to implement IT requirements, and second last, and actually which is the most important in the oil and gas sector, is safety. You need to assess the risk before carrying out the activity or executing these activities. You'll also need to document all your safety procedures. You need to continuously review your system, your safety and security systems as the project execution goes on. You'll also need to put in place corrective measures and actions that are managed jointly in exercise with our expectations, CNOOCQ being the client. Last, you need to also strengthen your security by having a security plan developed and submitted to the client before the project execution. You will also need to implement a security committee between the company and the logistics service provider. You will need to have continuous review during the project execution of the security system and situation in country and in the region, and also have a security checklist. Yeah, in brief, these are some of the key things as a logistics company that you need to look at and ensure that you actually strengthen them, or these systems, ensure you meet these. Those are the very minimum requirements to ensure that you are able to deliver when you get this contract. And these contracts that we are talking about include, first of all, allow me to take you to talk about those logistics packages. They will include lifting and handling services. They will also include international freight and forwarding services. They will include regional freight and forwarding services. There will also be another package for in-field transportation. And all these will be put together to deliver the bulk of equipment that I talked a bit about earlier. And as you can see in that slide over there, yes. And lastly, but not least, leaving logistics, allow me to tell you what we are doing as CNOOCQ this year to ensure that more Ugandans participate in the oil and gas story, the way Tony likes to call it. And one, as CNOOCQ, we have made joint ventures. I mean, we have made strategic partnerships with organizations like the Stanbic Business Incubator, the Uganda Chamber of Mines, the Uganda Oil and Gas Suppliers Association, Bunyoro Region Oil and Gas Suppliers Association, and very many others, to ensure that we share these opportunities available regularly. We are also mandated by national content regulations to have quarterly engagements. This is one of them. This is the Q3 quarterly engagement that we are mandated to have. We shall also, we have also this year completed the Enterprise Development Online Training Program that saw more than 150 SMEs trained together with our different partners, and these were from the Albertine and the Central Kampala regions. We are having, particularly for the logistics sector, we are having the training of heavy goods vehicle drivers. This is to international standards, and we are having them both trained and licensed. So the company CNOOCQ pays for both their training and their licensing, Last year we had 70 trained. This year we are having another 70 being trained, and this we are doing in partnership with Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom. Last year we did it in partnership with Safeway Rightway, and we shall ensure that this will ensure that at the end of the day we have qualified and competent drivers to drive this cargo from Mombasa up to the Albertine region. We are also engaged in the Train the Trainer program, which started a little bit in 2018. So last year we trained 84. The training has carried on up to 2021 because of COVID, and is still ongoing. And another 42 are going to start training this month, this coming month. And these are being trained, these teachers from UPIC, that is Uganda Polytechnic Institute Kigumba, and Uganda Technical College Kichwamba, are being trained in different oil and gas certified courses with City and Guilds, NABOSH, American Welding Society, and these are in turn going to train other Ugandans to pass on this knowledge and actually certify them to be able to get jobs in the oil and gas sector. We have also started on the ECITB training and certification this year, where we're going to see 60 participants in the different construction industry, builders, scaffolders, riggers, trained and certified to be able to partake and have jobs in the oil and gas sector. Last but not least, we are also this year, we are training 120 trainees in internationally accepted and certified welding. We are going to train 60 in 2G and 3G internationally coded welding, and we shall also train another 60 in 3G, 4G, up to 6G. These are certifications required for you to be able to take part or have a job in oil and gas sector, for example, welding of the establishments, the different fabrications on the CPF, on the pipelines, and even the East African crude oil pipeline. So these efforts are geared to ensure that at the end of the day, we have many Ugandans having a chance to take part in this beautiful story of the oil and gas sector. So lastly, but not least, the Uganda Chamber of Mines members asked us a number of questions. Most of them were in regards to logistics, and we've made an effort to answer some of them. And these were in terms of timelines for vehicle requirements, and the vehicles will be required 3 to 4 months after the final investment decision. And like Tony and my brother James from the Petroleum Authority told you, that FID is already happening. We are looking at maybe an announcement maybe next month, but this is already happening. So we are looking at those vehicles being required in the next 3 to 4 months, and these will be ranging from dumpers, haulage trucks, cranes, and others. About vehicle operating lease, we shall also, CNOOCQ has, yes, we agree that CNOOCQ prefers the option of leasing, and despite the fact that we are open to other options. About the other questions, we shall answer them on Slido and share them on the Chamber of Mines website and our own other platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthew Chaligonza, the National Content Manager at CNOOCQ Uganda Limited. Thank you for the presentation. We're now going to the next two presentations, which are quite interesting. These are businesses that have been in the oil and gas story at least for some months and can actually articulate what it takes or what it means to be in that sector. The first presenter I'm going to ask to come on here is Mr. Satvinder Singh, who is the director at Excel Construction Limited. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management from the University of the West of England, Bristol, United Kingdom. He has a diploma in civil engineering from the University of Bombay, Mumbai, India. He has over 16 years with practical knowledge and application of management and construction principles in the Uganda building and construction industry. With him, to support him, of course, is the ably Atim Sandra, who will also be presenting on behalf of Excel. She is the National Content Manager. I must say that I started with Singh in Victoria Nile Primary School in Jinja way back. And it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew Chaligonza, and thank you for inviting us to this forum and this conference to give an insight into what is coming up in the near future in the oil and gas industry and our commitment as Excel Construction Limited towards the development of local content in this particular PC1 project. I would like to say that we've been involved in the oil and gas industry since 2007. We have previously been, when we first started the works, we had many challenges which we can go into later, but we started with Tullow and then Heritage. We kept following on with Total and then CNOOCQ, and as we speak, even as of now, we are still registered on the database. All our subcontractors are part of the National Supplier Database, and we are actively involved in the oil and gas industry. What I would also like to say is that this is a golden opportunity for Uganda to really develop and probably come out like Dubai or something, because it's too big a cake for someone to eat alone. When I say that, I mean, I can sum it up by saying that it's not just for civil works contractors. There are too many items and professions here. Basically, to complete these projects, we need every kind of profession to be involved, profession and skill available in Uganda to be involved in these projects in order to execute them successfully, and then we see development. At this stage, I'll like to hand over to our company's National Content Manager, Ms. Sandra Atim, who will make a very brief but informative presentation on Excel Construction's National Content Development Plan to be implemented during the execution of the PC1 project. Sandra.
Thank you, Mr. Vic. I'm Sandra Atim, Excel Construction Limited, and I'm here to take you through Excel Construction Limited's National Content Plan for the Kingfisher PC1 project. Excel Construction Limited was formed as a joint venture between Gomba Construction and Madivani Group of Companies in February 1992. It's operating currently with two main offices. Its head office in Jinja and the branch in Kampala. Excel Construction Limited is a 100% Ugandan company, and it's ISO 9001:2015 certified and IOSH certified. Excel always strives to deliver all its projects to their respective clients as far as possible within budget, on time, without compromise on quality, while ensuring higher standards of HSE implementation and management. Since the company's inception, it has and continues to expand its operations for both government and private clients, as seen in the map, which shows our footprints in Uganda. As we go to the next slide, this illustration on the slide shows the location of the 3 well sites under PC1 project. The sites are located within a radius of 3 kilometers from Bugoma Trading Center within Chikube district. As we go to the next slide, you'll see how we intend to carry out material, services, and manpower sourcing. We have tried to illustrate this important point through this semicircular diagram, clearly showing our intentions on sourcing the above resources. First priority will be given to Bugoma Trading Center, which is the epicenter of this project under Chikube district. If Bugoma can't satisfy our requirements for materials and manpower, we'll move on to the other parts of Chikube district, and so on and so forth, with international procurement being the last front. If we go on to the next slide, you're going to see opportunities that we have available for Ugandan nationals. The first opportunity is employment for Ugandans at all levels in the execution of this project. We have already identified prospective candidates from various training institutions, e.g. UPIC, that is the Uganda Petroleum Institute in Chigumba, Kichwamba Technical College, Sanmeka Oil and Gas Training Institute, not to mention MOOC, Makerere University, Chambogo University, and other various educational institutions and universities. These candidates are ready for training and employment immediately upon signing of the contract. Those candidates who are interested in applying for the positions available in this project can send the applications to hr@excelconstruction.org. We have also identified various service providers to provide services such as medical services, security, waste disposal, site restoration, which will all be required during the implementation of this project. Another opportunity that is available is with the supply of materials. So we've also identified some potential suppliers for supply of locally available construction materials. For example, aggregate, sand, gravel, hardcore, paint, timber, reinforced steel, and many others. Besides the construction materials, there are also other items that will be required, such as food, dairy products, poultry, and many others. And we intend to sign an agreement or agreements with these potential suppliers and service providers immediately upon signing of the contract. So those suppliers and service providers who are interested can send their requests to bids@excelconstruction.org. If we move on to the next slide, the numbers indicated in this slide for both manpower and material requirements are tentative based on our estimated value of the works. These figures may change depending upon actual project execution on ground during the construction stage. As we go on to the next slide, we are going to see another opportunity that is available, that is sensitization, training, skills development programs, and technology transfer. It's Excel's policy to implement these kinds of programs on all our projects. Community sensitization programs are also carried out to inform stakeholders on what the project is about, what is going to be built, what and how the local community will benefit from these works. These are some of the photos that are taken from some of our sites showing stakeholder engagements, sensitization, and training sessions. If you see closely, the photographs on the upper row shows stakeholder engagements, and the ones on the second row, the first one shows training on scaffolding, the next one shows a sensitization session on site. Then on the third row, the first one shows training on firefighting, And the last one shows work at height. Supply of medical beds to hospitals and health centers. We've also contributed towards the government's COVID-19 relief action plan. These are but a few initiatives of Excel Construction Limited towards giving back to the community. If we move on to the next slide, we are going to see that COVID-19 is an issue at the moment, and we've also put plans and SOPs in place to manage them. If we move on to the next slide, we can't go without mentioning the challenges and lessons that we've learned from the nature of works in the oil and gas sector. The first lesson being with standards of construction. There has been continual upgrade of the standards in the construction industry. In all projects, there is also a need for the country and its citizens to benefit from this and from national content and from this project. Risk management is also important. So it's important for all contractors to identify risks right from the planning stage so that measures are put in place to avoid and manage them. It's important to carry out resource planning to achieve project control. Continuous improvement is also another important lesson learned in the area. There is need to identify key areas of improvement and development in the company's structure and processes to streamline and efficiently manage all its current and any new expected projects. Lastly, we ensure environmental sustainability through reinstatement of the project area upon completion of the project. Briefly, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sandra, Tim, for that interesting presentation. And I guess for many Ugandans who are watching this, Excel Construction is currently doing work in the oil and gas area. So you've seen, and I've seen some questions on Slido, if you want to get opportunities in terms of jobs or any training that can support you to get on board, please visit their website and engage with them. Our final presentation is going to be from Mr. Jackson Cato. Mr. Jackson Cato is the Managing Director of Cato Contractors Limited. He is a civil engineer by profession, holding a bachelor's degree in building and civil engineering. He has 25 years of experience in the construction field and having obtained a wide variety of experience in different construction projects as a project manager. He's currently undertaking the construction of Phase 2 resettlement houses for CNOOCQ. Mr. Jackson Cato.
Thank you, the moderator, Mr. Tony. Thank you, Mr. Chaigonza, and my colleague, my fellow contractor. Thank you, people who are watching us. As I've already introduced me, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. I didn't know that you are going to speak about those things. Cato Contractors is located in Muyenga, Roach Close. We have been in the construction industry for some time. Maybe my colleague can request you to put on your mask as I remove mine, since it's fine, you know. COVID, we have to obey. We all have to live. Thank you. We are located in Muyenga. Cato Contractors, it's a limited company. We incorporated in 2008. We are ISO 45001 2018, ISO 9001 2015, and ISO 14001 2015 certified. We are on the national database. We are members of UNABSEC, and Cato Contractors is 100% owned by Ugandans. And currently it's still managed by Ugandans. We have experience in the construction industry. In May, we got a contract with the CNOOCQ through a rigorous process, through advertising, the press, we bidded. Of course, being that we're on the national database, that's step number one. Unless we're on the database, don't even bother. And by then, we had done some few works with CNOOCQ since last year, May. During the pandemic, we were doing some emergencies when the floods were high at the Lake Albert. So in May, we got the business of doing the resettlement houses. The resettlement houses, these are within the escarpment, they are within the Buhuka, the lowland, where we have the facilities, and also along the pipeline. We're actually doing 2 lots, Lot 1 and Lot 3. Lot 1 is down the escarpment, Lot 3 is along, that's in the Chikube district, Lot 3 is in Hoima district, along the pipeline. These houses, they are 40 in number, and each house contains 1 sitting room, 3 bedrooms or 3 rooms, a veranda, or they call it a shed. It also has an external kitchen and an external toilet or latrine. When you look at the design of these houses, they are structurally designed because that area is earthquake prone. So they are not simple houses. They are reinforced. As you see, we also have the materials that so those, as you can see on the slides, all the 40 houses have been at the level of the slab. Now we are raising the walling. Because we have milestones. We have to make sure all the houses are on the slab level, which we call DPC level. Next is the houses are at the roofing level, and next is completion. And some of the houses we shall also have to provide some accesses. Some houses do not have accesses. These houses, they are for settling the people who are affected by the project. These people they call them PAPs. So if the project was using your land, that's or not going to that one. But those are the houses we're building. We can go to another slide. I'm looking at the employment requirements of these projects. Already we're on the ground, we are working. We have technical and non-technical staff. Technical staff, we have engineers, we have technicians, we have masons, we have carpenters, we have steel fixers, we have welders. We also have potters, or they call them casual workers. Non-technical staff, we have site managers, we have drivers, we have health and safety personnel, we have nurses on the ground, and so many others. Let's go to another slide. Those are the list of materials we are using, and all these materials are locally provided. We have cement, that's around 12,000 bags, steel bars, 150 tons, aggregates, around 1,600. We also have blocks, around 95,000. And also, without forgetting, we also have food items. Most of these items are materials, we are buying them from Hoima and Hoima, Buhuka, that's Chikube district. But there are a few materials that we don't get in Hoima and we are forced to come to Kampala. A few materials like steel, the quantities I'll be looking for, there have been so many that we can't get them. And these materials, especially the sand, the aggregates, we had to bring them to Kampala for testing, and they had to pass the standards of oil and gas. Let's go to lessons learned. We have emergency preparedness and risk management. With oil and gas, there is no room for error. Once you are there, you must stick to the rules. You must stick to the standards. You must stick to the requirements. You have to be ready to handle emergencies. You have to be ready to handle the risks and mitigate them and avoid them if possible. We have the safety culture at workplace. Like we have told you, we have safety officers, we have nurses, especially in these days of the pandemic. We have sanitize. People must put on masks. I think you saw at where we had the houses, we have those PPEs. People were in full attire. They have the helmets, those hard hats. They have the coveralls. They have the safety shoes, and they also have gloves. Those are the requirements. Without them, you will not step there. So my fellow Ugandans who are there outside, we have to stick to those as we plan. It's a process, but we are somewhere. Let's go to management. We use IMS, integrated management systems, in our system. Our chain of communication is clear from top to bottom, also with the consultants and with the contractor at the same time. Everything is open in the system, and that's how we are moving. Training, there are personnel who have trained. Actually, when we went there last year, there are people we found in Bugoma. Bugoma, that's the lowland at the lake, where they're working as potters, but some of them are now masons. They have got the skills. We also have some trainees, some engineering students whom we are training, we're working with, so that tomorrow they already have knowledge about oil and gas. The highlights, as I conclude, HSSE awareness is very paramount, is very important. You must stick to your project execution plan. That's the PEP. What you plan, you must do it. Before you even, once you have the PEP, it has to be approved by the client. That is CNOOCQ, and it's approved, then you can work. Quality control and quality assurance. As we are working, you have seen the blocks are tested, the concrete is tested. We have before we started, we had to bring to the lab and they were tested. So we have the design mixes that we are using. So all those materials are tested. Even as we work, they come and pick a sample and they test. So there's no saying that because we are like concrete blocks, we are doing 7 newtons, maybe I'll give 5 newtons. It won't pass. And we'll be in trouble. Then project control, time cost, all those are very important. And last, you have to adhere to the standards of oil and gas. And one of them, you have to be ISO certified. Without that, there are no shortcuts. The standards are very important in oil and gas. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cato. Thank you very much for that very interesting experience. And Mr. Sadvinda as well, thank you very much for that experience. I think Ugandans can now see that they can get into these things. Like my brother James Mushere said earlier, construction, civil works, transport, logistics, catering, security, a lot of these are ring-fenced for Ugandans. But like we have heard from the two gentlemen here and at Team Sandra, you have to conform to the standards. So I think we now need to have real genuine conversations on standards, because this is what's going to make us get ourselves into the sector. We are running out of time and we only have about 7 minutes left, so I'll just ask my panelists to answer a few questions and I'll throw them around. Peter Baguma has asked, Matthew Gonza talked about enterprise training for SMEs. When is the next enterprise development training, and could you please throw more light on that? And also, while you're answering that, Matthew, someone has asked, he's interested in knowing when EPC 2 and EPC 3 phases are starting. And finally, for you, Matthew, is a question here. How can a job seeker apply for a job, especially where they are building camps? Is it done online, or is it done, or does one have to come to Bulisa to be able to do that? And then for Mr. Singh and Mr. Cato, I'll ask you the same question. I'll ask you, and you can both choose on how you can answer that. But someone has asked, what are the opportunities in the contracting? Sorry, are there opportunities for employment? You know, since you're going to be doing work there, are there opportunities for employment of young people? And also, someone has asked, I think this would have gone to my brother James Musherure, but I think it can come to you. We have heard of private institutions asking for money that they are training persons that will be selected during the hiring process. Is this true? And finally, again to Mr. Cato and Mr. Singh, how can someone, a young person, apply for an internship program? Thank you. And probably after these questions, and Matthew, I will ask you to answer last so you can actually do the closing remarks. We can have Mr. Singh and Mr. Cato answer those questions quickly, and then we have you in the last 2 minutes to answer your questions, and then the closing remarks in the next 6 minutes. Thank you.
So, would you like to? No.
My brother has requested me to start.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Opportunities for employment for younger people are there. This is still a virgin field. All that opportunities come for those who are ready. For example, let me give an example of if you are a driver, do you have the requirements, and you must have a defensive license. So opportunities are there, we need to be prepared. Can I go the second one? Internship, you can come direct to us, but for us what I've been using, there is a program running in UNABSEC. They always give opportunities. So you go to the list of UNABSEC, there are those interns who are looking for placements. That's what we have been using. But you can also approach us. Thank you.
I'll just add on to what Mr. Cato said. Opportunities for employment for young people do exist. We, in fact, have already shortlisted, like we said earlier, candidates from UKIP in Chigumba and the other training institutes in Kichwamba and Makerere University, etc. It's just that, and they are not, they are young and they are eager to learn. And those are the kind of people we want to have on site who will push these works forward with enthusiasm. So yes, opportunities exist. You can always log on to our website. You can write to hr@excelconstruction.org to seek employment, and we will definitely get in touch with you through our human resource department, which is at the moment swamped with inquiries. I think the second question was something to do with money.
Yes. There are these random sites where people are claiming they train and they can get you a job. Is that true?
No, it's not true. To the best of my knowledge, I have personally, or anyone in my company has never come across such things. We get candidates sent, or we log on to the National Supplier Database, NSD of PAU, and look for candidates from there. Or we write to the principals of these colleges to send us candidates with their CVs and recommendations.
Fantastic.
That's how we employ them.
Thank you very much. So again, if you want to gainfully get employment in the oil and gas sector, there's the National Talent Register. It's on the website of the Petroleum Authority. Please visit that website and register yourself, and the likes of Mr. Cato and Mr. Singh will be able to look out for you and pick you out. Matthew, as we end.
Thank you very much, Tony. The first question about when our next enterprise development training program will be held, that is next year. This year's program was online because of COVID, and the other thing is I want to encourage all our listeners and viewers out there to also join the Stanbic Business Incubator, which has a continuous, they take a number of cohorts in enterprise development, and we are working closely with them, supporting them whenever they call us to support, to ensure that this training is going on. Number two is about when EPC2 and EPC3 projects will begin. As I told you, it is at approval level with the authority. The procurement process is completed, and basically these projects should go, should start 3 to 4 months after the signing of the contracts and also after FID. Then number three is jobs. CNOOCQ jobs are always advertised in the newspapers. You can also go and register yourself on the National Oil and Gas Talent Register on the PAU website. There was another question which I did capture very well, but that is it.
Right, I think we'll have an opportunity to share a lot of those on Slido. I just want to thank each and every one of you who joined us this morning, all the way from 11 a.m. to have a conversation on the opportunities in the oil and gas sector. This conversation has been very key for SMEs that want to get involved. We've mainly talked about the construction and civil works, but as you know, activity has started and it's ramping up. So please, please, please look out for more information. Go to the websites that have been prescribed, but also come to the Stanbic Business Incubator where we can support you on getting you ready for the oil and gas sector. I want to thank CNOOCQ Uganda Limited, Bunyoro Research Agency and Development Organization, and all of the other organizers like the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum for this day and this conversation. And we thank you. Get ready.